make your sister tell that Mr. He gonna Mr. If you twist it, I said shaker. It's a fast breaking bone shaking shaker. Shake a credit, make your sister tell that Mr. He gonna.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
No fish or aliens were harmed in the making of this podcast. Welcome to episode 473 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 17th of January 2023, and featuring K9 Alien Avatar, written by Graham Farmer and starring Philippa Coulthard as Georgie Turner, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, Robert Maloney as Professor Alistair Griffin, and John Leeson as the voice of K9. I am Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and I just tried Pizza Hut for the first time in over a decade. With me are color commentator Alex Fyrehart.
Hello.
And technical director Mad Matt Winchell.
My computer is more alive.
More alive than it was last week?
Oh yes, I had some interesting stories to tell. I'll tell very briefly. So I was doing a little extra streaming last week because I had so much time off, and amidst that, I think it must have been Wednesday in particular, I just noticed that it was getting worse and worse. My issues with like more modern, higher end games just constantly crashing on me for no reason. I noticed it getting really bad with Conan Exiles, so I gave it up and uninstalled it. And then I started to see more and more crashes with Rust. And not only did it do a hard crash like Conan Exiles used to do a lot on me, like half the time, all of a sudden Elden Ring started crashing on me randomly, like barely giving me 5 to 10 minutes and then suddenly blinking on me in the middle of the stream. So I'm like, okay, at this point it's official. It's gotta be something with the computer. So I contacted the creator of my computer. It took them 3 days, I believe. But eventually they did contact me back. And they're like, okay, this sounds like it could be a few issues. We don't think it's a heat issue yet, but we're going to check a few things. And that'll be one of them. Long story short, I believe what probably happened is one of the Windows updates probably messed up that or was filled with bugs. Go Microsoft.
Another Windows update after the one that you fixed last week?
Did I already do that last week?
Yeah.
The weeks are blending together so much lately, I can't even anymore. No? Did I do that before last week? I got the company and got my computer
last
fixed?
week was off. Yeah.
See, I thought I'd done that like after the podcast, like Wednesday. I got done. Actually, you know what? No, that's right. That was just before. Now that I think of it, it was just before the podcast last week. I got done. Mm-hmm. So I've had 0 issues outside of the fact that one of the BIOS was still messed up. It was trying to read a specific non-existent fan for fanning off my CPU, even though the liquid cooling system is doing it. So I eventually got told how to fix that, and that got done. But then I had another fiasco this week, which was literally yesterday, the day before. Yeah, that would have been yesterday, since I was all day off, and most of it was spent on that. So Rust was having an event this week, and they were dropping items by watching live streams. I wasn't sure how you hook that up anymore. So I saw someone sent me a link, and I'm like, oh, this has got to be it. Click on it. Nothing's happening.
Is it a scam?
looking around, trying to log in to try and figure out what's going on because I can't get my password to work. Suddenly I'm like, wait, none of my passwords are working. I've been locked out of the system. Shit. Quickly go to my email, and yes, it was a scam. They had changed my email. They had changed my password. They had turned off my Defender, and it's like, nope. Immediately click on one of the links of Steam questioning all these changes. Immediately tell them that it's me, that my account is being stolen by someone. I clicked on a link to try and get the stuff for Rust, and gave them all the info that only they and me would know, and then literally just didn't know what to do other than the fact that they had officially locked the account. So I'm like, okay, at least that's that for right now until they get someone on it. Played Fallout New Vegas for like about 2 hours or so, came back out, and they're like, yes, here's your new temporary password. Go ahead, change your password, whatever you need to do. It's ready for you to get back on round.
That's a quick turnaround compared to a lot of sites.
Well, I'm like, well, it better be a quick turnaround. This is Steam. They ought to have enough people, and this is the kind of thing they ought to be looking for.
I know some some websites that happens to you, and it's you've lost that account forever now.
I was starting to think that because it was starting to turn me around in circles, but I finally found the right link and finally finished processing stuff. Oh, and it also didn't help that they didn't tell me that I needed to give them a very specific box at the bottom I needed to actually put info in, otherwise they would just send me back to do it again without any kind of prompt or warning. It's like, you guys need to really fix that. It's kind of on your end to make sure that people know what they need to put info on and was absolutely necessary to get this thing done. But long short of it, I finally got my account back after a few hours, and I was getting weirded out because a couple of things on the drop list for watching those streams, even though I had muted in the background most of the time, weren't going into my inventory. But after looking around on that a little bit too, I finally found out you can just go back to the website for the event and re-sign up everything, and there's a button that should be a prompt to essentially double check that all the items came in. And as soon as I clicked that, all my items came in, and it's like, okay, there we go. And as a thank you to Rust being my warning system for that there's something actually wrong with my computer, not just the games, I spent like $7 on Rust. Got some skins that also came with the event that was going on, but were in the store. I'm like, sure, fine. They look nice, I'll take it. So
my week in gaming has been continuing to progress on Pokemon Violet. I've been doing, when I do a casual playthrough, I kind of build a new team for every major fight. So I've been spending a lot of time in the end game just grinding new teams or going around looking for legendaries. So now my next job is to catch all of the Paradox Pokemon and then finish the post game. So then I need to figure out what the next game what the next game I want to buy would be.
Just remind me, I saw a clip of a VTuber looking for shinies. Just going through the field. Like, if you're pink, looking for pink, yellow, 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 yellow. Nope. Move on to the next area of the field.
Yeah, I do not have the patience for shiny hunting. If I shiny hunt, it's by breeding.
I mean, apparently there is an easier way to get shinies built into the game.
If you use the sandwich mechanic, it can increase your odds, but I think that might also apply to eggs as well.
I think it's related to the school. Like something about if you finish all the courses, you get awarded with something that'll make shinies easier to find.
If you finish the Pokédex, you get the shiny charm. That's the same in every game.
That's it.
The only thing you get for finishing all the classes is experience candy. Well, and each class has its own like a Persona style quest where you become friends with the teacher, and then they give you a reward if you finish all the scenes.
Mhm.
Anything interesting on your end, Alex?
Not really. It was mainly just that I went back to work on Saturday and out of nowhere, my leg decided to, and my right leg started to play up on me something fierce, to the point that I'm surprised I got to sleep at all, really. And I slept for like almost 12 hours on Sunday.
Mm.
Well, that was
And then I
my
only got
that was my big toe like 3 days ago. It's like, oh Lord, I just cannot. This thing is throbbing.
Mm. And then I only managed because of the pain didn't go away. Well, stinging sensation. It had, the bulk of the pain had gone, but then it was just a stinging sensation. And then I only slept 3 hours Monday morning before work. Oddly, working Monday, it wasn't as bad, but also I noticed, oh, I see the pain is moving up through my right arm now. So, I feel like when I told my dad that, it was like, could be a pinched nerve then. So, I'll probably have to go into the doctors about that. But yeah, other than that, it's basically just been gaming and watching anime and stuff.
So you go, it's a pinched nerve. Maybe I should go to the doctors. Meanwhile, my initial bad reaction is, I'll sleep it off. What's the worst? The next day, then you go.
All right, so tonight's show, we've got a little bit of birthdays and news. We've got some geek talk. I don't think we have any reviews of Shame. Then we have our episode summary, review, final thoughts, and ratings. So with our birthdays, we start off January 13. We have Jack Watling, who was the recurring character Professor Travers in Season 5 of the Second Doctor era, but also memorable for being the father of Deborah Watling, who we know as the companion Victoria Waterfield. Jack Watling would have been 100 years old, but he died in 2001 at the age of 78. On the 14th of January, we have Gemma Redgrave, who has played Kate Stewart from 2012 until
Present.
58. I don't think she looks any older than she did in 2012 yet. At least not with character makeup on. Also on the 14th, we have Ajoa Ando. I probably butchered that. Who played Francine Jones, Martha's mother in Series 3 of the 10th Doctor, who turned 60. On the 15th, we have our own Randy Ronson McCulloch turned 47. Hopefully he got a good steak. I know we were talking about he was looking for places for his annual tradition of having steak, and he was looking for a place nearby where he currently is. We also have, also on the 15th, you have Richard Franklin, who played Mike Yates from 1971 to 1974, and then reprised the role in 1983 for the Five Doctors, turned 87. And our final birthday is Malcolm Clark, who composed the incidental music for 7 stories in the 1980s. Would have been 80 on the 17th, but died in 2003 at the age of 60. So happy birthday, Jack, Gemma, Joa, Ran, Richard, and Malcolm. Moving on to our filming news. We have last week we had a story where we could see a kind of blurry picture of a slug creature that was being filmed. The next day, Cultbox brought us some more information from that filming session. So, Cultbox covers a lot of filming sessions that usually just don't have anything interesting enough to cover. But this one has, some up-close photos of the costume or prosthetic or puppet or whatever this may be. Figure would be worth looking at.
I'm looking at the upfront. It's actually pretty well designed, other than the fact that some of the lower limbs look a little dangly. But I guarantee you're not going to be seeing those very often anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And those might all be replaced in post as well.
Mm-hmm.
Post or hidden by cameras, either way. Just there
We
for
see
effect.
We see our new companion in a pink and white ensemble. Don't know if there's anything else particularly worth mentioning here. Does look like they were trying to eat Millie Gibson or do something with her in the little video. Are the embeds actually showing up on your end, Matt? Because I know your computer always has trouble with them, unless it's just Instagram that it has trouble with.
I think it might just be Instagram because these seem to be from Twitter, and I've been seeing them fine.
Okay, cool. Oh wait, are there multiple people in white and pink? Or is one of them or
two?
I can't tell if one is the stunt actress and one is the actual character. No, but they're not the same outfit, so it's just. But then there's somebody else in blue, so it's not like a uniform or something weird like that. Like if they go to the planet of the Mean Girls where everybody wears pink today. It does. It's hard to tell from just these shots. It almost seems like there's some sort of mind control going on. Like the girl in blue looks like zombified or like she's sleepwalking or something. Oh, and there's somebody else being eaten or brain sucked or whatever the hell is happening. So we don't know a huge amount of what's happening, but it looks like might be a base under siege. With brains being sucked out.
No, it's normal. No brain.
But I think we've lingered on that. Unless any of you see anything you want to mention before we move on?
Not particular. Interesting note, though, it does seem like there's at least two guys in that thing. And the way in is the tail.
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying for the actors?
For the big slug thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a thing with it looks like somebody's kids hanging out in the tail.
Actually, I don't know about a kid. I see a
Oh,
guy.
maybe it isn't. Maybe it is a puppeteer. Okay. I thought those were little feet, but they're not. They're it's more like controls. I thought maybe they had just let somebody's kids in to
no, I would not risk that. I would not risk that in a giant prop like that. That's going to be costly if something goes wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, now I just blew up the picture to see it more clearly, and yeah, it's definitely not a kid. But I was like, oh, they're letting the actor's kid like hang out in between shots or something, but no.
No. All
I mean,
right.
it's a good use of a design in a way to just have it that like the back bit just comes off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then our final piece of news, we have one big finish release. The 11th series of Diary of River Song, Friend of the Family, was released on the 12th, with 3 stories written by Tim Foley and starring Alex Kingston as the eponymous River Song. And I can't really glean anything else from the photo, or yeah, from the cover. And that is the end of our news.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Alex, I believe, Naruto Shippuden.
Yep. Finally got around to bloody finishing this anime. Like, I honestly don't even know what year I actually started. I just know that I've been chipping away at it for a while. I mean, the anime lasted a decade, but I can tell you that I probably watched some of it within that decade and just fell behind. And then, like, I feel like my problem is that with anime that are that long, I'll watch way too much, burn myself out, and then take quite a while away from it. Last year is probably the most I watched out of the entire thing. I guarantee you I probably got through the bulk of it last year because I was not even at the halfway point last year and I blasted through most of it. And then finally finished off the tail end. I think I had like less than 30 episodes left and managed to finish the whole thing. So it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, I feel like to a point, I like this more than the original Naruto anime, so before the time skip. And like, it has my favorite arc of the entire franchise so far. I haven't started Boruto, and I probably won't for a while. Which is the stuff following Naruto's kid. But it's funny, and I think I might have said this in text at the time somewhere, but they kind of lose me near the end. Just like the scale gets a bit much, and like the scale to a point wasn't really bothering me, and then something else happens and a big revelation happens, and I'm just like, oh.
Now we're pushing
Nah.
for this to be bigger in an unnatural way, faster and faster and faster.
So what's this scale? I imagine not like Dragon Ball Battle of the Gods level scale, right?
I mean, technically, yes.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Because I mean, they don't exactly go into space and fight aliens, but you know what? Fuck it. This is a show that ended 5 years ago. If people care about spoilers, whatever. But generally, literally, the progenitor of this ninja magic shit is reborn somehow, and she's basically a god.
Got you. Okay.
And it turns out that Naruto and Sasuke are the latest reincarnations of her sons. Like, of her sons' sons, sort of thing. And it's just like,
Crying
God
out loud.
damn it. It's just like, no, this is a bit much. I mean, the final, like, story, like, action-y story beat still comes down to Naruto versus Sasuke. But the fact that we went all the way up to them literally fighting a god
I mean,
a god is like...
I'm a Final Fantasy
Oh,
player.
come
I see
on.
nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I guess to be fair, they don't so much beat
Well,
her so much as seal her away again.
Well, at least if they're going to be going for the whole god mode, they've only succeeded once, and they at least built up to that. Hello, number 6. I need to actually play you and finish you one these days.
But yeah, and it's funny because we only really get more context because I also watched all the episodes, so I watched all the filler, so a lot of stuff that gets kind of skimmed over in the actual manga canon stuff is like filled in a bit more. You get some actual backstory for some of this stuff, but yeah, it's like it's a bit much because it's like Naruto already had the whole nine-tailed fox thing going for him. Then it turning out, oh, he's actually the reincarnation of like the first mortal to ever be able to do this stuff is like, I didn't need that. Like, Naruto's supposed to be very relatable. Like, you know, as much shit as Naruto gets as a character, he's honestly one of my favorite anime characters of all time. And is actually incredibly relatable. But yeah, it's just... Although it is funny, because apparently, like, some relationships at the end of this are built up when they pair people off, because of course people get paired off.
Yeah.
But Naruto and Hinata doesn't have any build-up at all. Seemingly. Apparently they left it to one of the movies to handle because the original manga creator was like, I don't want to do romantic shit, which is hilarious because
Sounds like a shonen writer.
Yeah. Which is funny though because like two side characters start dating on screen in the anime and that's manga canon. So I'm like, well wait, so you let those two have something. I mean like Hinata like has had a crush on Naruto from the get-go. But, like, we never actually see Naruto develop feelings for her. Even fucking Goku, like, figures out what marriage is and is like, oh, okay, well, I guess I will anyway, even though I know what it is now. Like, that's something. It's more than Naruto gets. It's weird. Like, again, apparently I have to watch the final Naruto movie because that revolves around the relationship drama, the relationship stuff. But, yeah. It's just an odd decision. But yeah,
some weird weak sauce there.
Like,
especially since you keep building this and then you just do nothing with it.
Yeah. A funny thing is, apparently the anime generally does more legwork towards that than the manga does anyway, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's I don't know, like. I still rank Naruto Shippuden fairly high, but it really is the thing if it peaks with the Pain's assault arc, and then it never, while it doesn't like dramatically dip, it just never reaches that high again. Because the end of that arc made me fucking cry, and like moments here and there sort of almost brought me to tears again, but that was mainly just giving a shit about these characters or some things just I wasn't emotionally prepared for, so that's like, whoa, hey, what the hell? And some of it's just random bits of dialogue that wouldn't affect other people, but for some reason just knocked me sideways. But yeah, I still think, you know, honestly, it's still worth checking out, but if you don't have the patience, there are sites that you can find that will list all of the filler episodes. Although, I would actually go through and check, because some of the filler actually helps. Because some of the filler is, like, this character's gonna die in the next story arc, so let's actually, like, make you give a crap. Because they've otherwise been a side character this whole time. So let's actually give them some screen time before they die. Or like, the last Naruto arc brought Gaara back, and the first story canon, like manga canon Naruto Shippuden arc revolves around Gaara. So it's like, okay, we're making these characters relevant again before they're relevant to the story again. But yeah, as all over the place as it gets near the end, and the end kind of like ends on a bit more of a whimper than a bang for at least me. Which is funny because I think certain things wouldn't have bugged me as much if I had seen this when it originally ended in 2017, but like I'm a different person now, so certain story beats are like but yeah. And of course,
that was half of this podcast to go.
I just anyway, yeah. I would also be talking about Initial D this week because I've finished 2 seasons of that, but yeah, I decided I'm going to wait until I finish that entire franchise and then cover it.
Might as well, since you're burning through it so quickly, apparently.
Well, again, like it's weird. There's like a bunch of TV specials. The third stage is a movie rather than a season. There's only 5 seasons. There's 80. If you count the movies and the specials, there's apparently like under 90 episodes total. So this will be a lot easier to get through.
Yeah. All right. So I guess from
Right.
that to the episode then for tonight.
Yep. Time for the
Yep.
summary.
All right. Ready when you are.
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, we open on Starkey and K9 on their way to going fishing. And after being interrupted by those robot cops, the two find the river to be mostly dry and all of the fish are dead. With K9 getting weird readings from them. Starkey grabs one with his net, only to graze K9, getting some of the stuff on him. After testing back at the mansion, the substance is revealed to be chanium, a byproduct of something called Quillen 37, or something to that effect. Something that is used in the construction of interdimensional spacecraft, which is also very corrosive and can do sizable environmental damage. When the kids go to investigate the Thames, it turns out that the chanium is flowing into it from the sewers, only for the mysterious aliens Darius earlier saw seem to appear before them and knock Starkey silly. I think they described it as them essentially giving him vertigo.
Yep.
The aliens turn out to be called the Meads, who have the ability to project an avatar, so like a hologram, of themselves over certain distances if they can't reach somewhere physically. With Starkey unable to do much, K9, Georgie, and Darius go to follow the trail of Chanium back to the source, with K9 going through the sewers as Darius and Georgie follow through on the streets above. As June, who suspects Drake of stealing a Meade starship that went missing, shows up at the mansion, only to find out what's going on just as Georgie and Darius get caught, with June and Starkey going to mount a rescue. K9 manages to be guided through by the Meade avatars in the sewers and finds Georgie and Darius where they're being held, only for them to almost be captured again before June shows up and makes the robots back off, grabbing the molecular refractor and giving it back to the Meads Drake had captured, with the Meads then undoing the chanium pollution in the Thames and on K9 before teleporting to the ship and leaving Earth. We then end on Starkey asking K9 if he still wants to go fishing, which K9 emphatically declines. The end.
All right. Just like a split second away from 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Which is funny because I was like thinking, oh, this is a bit harder for me to make a bit more concise. So I was wondering how long it would take to read.
Did fine. All good. Bill? Bill?
Good, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, my internet went out for a second.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Well,
I thought
that would have
I thought
affected things tonight.
I thought Alex's mic went out, and then I looked and realized that my Wi-Fi was not connecting.
Ah.
And the
All
bomb
right,
drops
so
out.
you're
He did it in 2.5 minutes.
All right. So starting with what we like about the episode, starting with Alex. Yes, you get to talk again.
I'm trying to think. And it's not even that it's necessarily nothing. It's just I'm trying to see if I can hone in on a specific thing. You know what I will say? I like the use of Drake in this by virtue of the fact that maybe they've realized, he's not exactly the best villain. So let's like minimize how much he actually shows up. Because like I feel like he was more effective in this than most of the appearances he's made prior, and I think it really is just a matter of he's not really there much.
They limited him and they don't allow him time to ham.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he doesn't say much either.
I felt like he was more imposing in this, but that was entirely down to the fact that he was like in this suit, like doing this Mr. Claw thing at a monitor, and he didn't really have the chance to to chew the scenery or anything like that.
Yeah, he's being a lot sneakier and cruel, so he's not having a chance to get like over the top angry or anything. And even then, when he gets foiled, we don't see his reaction.
We don't even
to being
see him,
foiled.
do we? Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't get a chance to be like, he doesn't. With the Mr. Claw thing, we don't get a "I'll get you gadgets" moment. So
next time, gadget. Next time.
All right, Matt, what did you like about the episode?
Honestly, I liked how well the different plot threads came up and then slowly kind of converged into a proper single story. You don't get that very much of K9. As a matter of fact, usually it's very jarring how they suddenly just plant everything together. This one seems to run actually pretty smoothly so far. We have plot A with fishing trip, which is ruined by pollution. Which then becomes tied in with the rest of the crew at the Griffin's household. Slowly bringing the other kids out to have a look and try to figure out where this is all coming from. And while this plot is advancing, over here we have plot B, where Jerry's mom is figuring out that Draco's up to something. And she starts figuring out what he's up to and where her people were pushed out, and manages to sneak enough information to come to Griffin with too, and that's how they all combine together. And eventually, after they learn enough from her, they're like, okay, we need to let her in.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It was kind of woven together so seamlessly. I didn't even really think of it as separate subplots after watching it. But you're right; there are all these different, distinct things that all come together.
Which is funny because usually with that kind of thing, that would usually imply there was going to be a part 2 that this would have been capped off with, but they actually managed it in one.
Part 2 is Drake yelling at his screen and at his henchmen.
We cut all part 2 out because it was unnecessary.
Right, right. So what I liked is that it seems to give the titular character a real like episode where he's solving problems. Like you start off with K9 directly, being one of the people to observe what's going on. He's directly affected by it. He gets the glitter sprinkled on him, which they call a burn, which I guess is acid, but they call it a burn. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
They are like putting some sort of easy remove glitter on him that I guess is supposed to be some sort of like supposed to look like
Corrosion,
rust, but it's way
basically.
too shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you start the episode off that way, and then K9 is also the one doing the majority of the risk in solving it and using his skills to solve it. So it's really solid in terms of K9 as the protagonist, as the character that the show is named after, which is a really great flip side from, recent episodes where we got, yes, the episode was about K9, but it was about K9 sitting on a chair ignoring everybody for 20 minutes. This is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this too as well, and that was also going to be one, but I was going to reach for something else if I could because that was a little too easy for me. But also one of the things I noticed is not only at the very beginning of the episode does he literally talk down the police cops like they're nothing. He basically Obi-Wan them. We're just going fishing. Oh, humans are weird, eh? And walk off. Okay. But then at the very end, he's also helping to communicate with the aliens. You literally hear him translating in the background as she's talking. So,
Yep.
Again, like, how are we not using K9 more often? And also, how nice is it to actually have an alien race of a language that needs translating?
I know TARDIS mentions that between Doctor Who, Sarah Jane Adventures, and this show, this is the first time that we actually see confirmation that K9, has a language database and can translate without using the TARDIS. Which, it kind of makes sense given the lifestyle he's had that he would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the Doctor having a perfect encyclopedic memory of every alien in the universe and just needing to narrow it down.
Yeah. I mean, to the point of K9 being more proactive, it's also just nice to see him not effectively used as a Deus Ex Machina.
He helps out a lot, but yeah, he's not the sole and only purpose thing going on.
Yeah.
Like
He's
helping
not
to
brought in
drive
at the end
plot.
as a sledgehammer to finish the episode with.
Yeah. He's literally not Chekhov's gun for a change.
Which, I mean, makes more sense in this show because it's named after him anyway, but at the same time...
Well, at the same time, when he's useless except for the very end to be a Chekhov's gun again, how many times can you do this?
Yeah.
So everyone agreed with that last one in particular. So I guess least favorite?
Oh, sorry, I spaced out for a second. What was the thing? What was the last thing you said?
I said that pretty much everyone agreed with that last one, so
before
least favorite?
Oh, you were saying everyone agreed with my item.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying something specific you had just said. Okay. All right. I didn't space out as much as I thought I did then. All right, yes. What did we dislike about the episode, starting with Alex?
I guess just as something to go with, as much as like I overall like this, some of the acting brings it down a bit. Which I know is kind of a touch and go thing with this show anyway, that like
because they are trying to aim it for children.
Yeah. But like some of the acting seems a bit more like, I guess compare it to like Ouroboros, where the acting is, I feel like the acting is a lot stronger. Here it's like, ooh.
Yeah,
there's a bit of slippage.
There are a couple moments here and there where it's like, that was very much a forced line. Oof.
Okay.
So I guess off to me then. So general
Yep.
thing I disliked about the episode. Um, is it bad to say that I think some of the what do you want to call it? Oh, I don't know how you. I watched what. I know there's really like a word for it, but my brain doesn't want to say it. Like the onset like visuals are like not holding up on this one. We've kind of briefly
Practical
touched
effects?
on the air quotes corrosion on K9, but also I would also
Oh,
say in
yeah.
the same bag the costume for the aliens is not, as nice as the aliens are. It kind of feels like a Halloween mask in a robe.
Okay.
Mm.
They've added some bells and whistles to it, like the glowing stones and everything, but it's still very much like, eh.
All right. So on your bingo cards, we have the acting in this show is bad, and the budget is $5 and a shoestring.
Because we spent it all on K9 already. Yep.
No, I mean, it is one of those things where you think, ah, yes, the CGI snake from the last episode must have been where most of the budget went.
Yep. That's why we got glittery rust.
But yeah, I agree. I think the aliens actually looked better when they were the
Holograms.
avatars than when
Yeah.
they were actually in person.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think the avatar glow on them actually helped hide some of the problems with them.
Mm-hmm.
And like even when they're in the cell about to be let out, they're also the lighting's not super bright, so they're still in like shadows mostly.
And even then,
But
it's
then
still
you see
you
them
still
out
look
in
at them in
broad
that
daylight.
shadowy thing. It's like, you know, it just feels like someone's lathered a skeleton mask with a bunch of like plastic stuff on top and just tried to hide the fact that it's a skeleton mask. And then they put
I
that
mean, the
little
funny
gem
thing
thing in
is
the middle of
that-
the forehead.
Yeah, I mean the funny thing is they almost could have just tried to pull a Jawa and just have like the hood go a bit further out so it's a bit more shadowy on the face.
Well, actually, they don't. They could very easily have pulled a Jawa and like maybe just do it up different, like obviously bigger and different colors and stuff. But you can literally, I'm not sure if they have them available as easily anymore, but I know for a fact I've bought at least a couple of this costume called a Wraith or something like that. But essentially, this is a costume that's basically a black cloak and hood and all this, but the face mask covering in particular is really thin, and it comes with these like pair of red circular eyeglasses. And what you do is you put it on underneath the mask, flip a switch, and you got red glowing eyes that pulsate. Literally, what you could have done with these guys. It might have been slightly more effective if you just got a nicer robe. And maybe change the color or whatever the lenses are on those eye things.
Yeah.
Maybe give them like a green or a purple or something. Maybe even keep the
Okay.
forehead gem. But anyways, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So I think that moves it on to me, and for me, I felt like this episode, like just kind of came off to me as if someone in the network was like, the ratings on this show are crap. We need to do things to draw in the kids. And there's two specific things that I noticed, and one in particular that is worth bringing up is that all of a sudden K9 is super quippy, and I don't know if he's actually referencing specific movies, because I think he is, or if just like the like quips are so generic they could be referencing many movies. But I feel like I recognize that laugh at the end of the episode from a movie, and I feel like the filthy habit line was quoting a specific movie, but TARDIS doesn't have any like Easter egg section for this.
Actually, I think that laugh at the end might have been a pseudo nudge in the direction of Short Circuit, Johnny Five.
Okay, yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, bingo.
Because I was like, I almost wanted to say E.T., but it wasn't quite. Short Circuit sounds 100% spot on. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But the second reason that I think that is that all of a sudden in this episode, I've never noticed it before, but in this episode, every time K9 said something, it cut to Georgie, and she was like making like like a girl and her dog, like kind of girl and her dog movie kind of face, and it's like normally we don't quite have this much of an emphasis on Georgie and her facial expressions toward K9, and it felt kind of...
Bottom out again. But I will say, I have noticed that
a new thing that came out of nowhere, and that's another thing, like something.
Okay.
So you're about to say something?
Sorry, you bottomed out for a while there.
Oh, okay. Do I need to repeat something, or?
I think we got the general gist that we noticed that he's been getting a little more. Actually, I will say I think he's been getting slowly a little more quippy, but this episode in particular, there was a spike.
Yeah, it was like it went from like 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 11.
yeah, it basically went from a 1 to 11. It's like, okay.
All right, favorite scenes, Alex.
I was wondering if I was going to be able to think of anything else, but not off the top of my head, so thankfully I'll just go with the one that came to mind first. Georgie, like, singing to herself or whatever, and...
Scene in the opening?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Well, I forget exactly how far in it is, but like...
I mean, for the podcast opening.
Oh, yeah. Like, the professor comes up and it's just like...
Yeah, that's
have
like
you ever thought of voice... Yeah, like, specifically the exchange, or like, have you ever thought of voice training? Oh, you really think? No.
Yes.
Just like very blunt, just like, can you please shut up? Without saying so.
Can you please bring it down?
Yeah, that was one of mine. Okay, Matt?
Honestly, I think it's Griffin's actor got all the really good acting bits in this one, because later on in the episode, when he's almost going out the door with them, all of a sudden that phobia of being outside hits him again, and you just see his face go gaunt, and you just see his his stomach. He's just like, why couldn't I just be afraid of spiders? He goes back in.
The agoraphobia scene.
Which I do wonder about that. Are they going to actually go into that? Because it feels like he didn't have that, at least not all the time. Otherwise, how did he have a family?
I mean, it's why he never leaves the house. But yeah, like before the series, we don't know much about.
I'm kind of wondering, since they bring it back up again recently, if they're maybe going to do something with that. But we'll have to wait and see.
I think the implication was that the agoraphobia stems from around the same incident where he lost his family.
That's what I'm thinking too, but again, it's hard to say until they actually say something about it or develop that a little further.
But I'm gonna have something to say that's related to that scene later. I do agree that shot was well done, but in context of something else kind of annoyed me. So for me, I think I'm going to have to go with, and this is purely petty and personal, but that Darius first gets the books knocked out of his hands, and then the professor is like, the last time I saw you with a book, you were using it to swat a fly or whatever. And he just chews him out and makes him bring the books back. And I was like, anytime Darius gets, physically or verbally beat up, I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's obviously a sign of a problem character, and it needs some fixing. When we literally just watched him get laid waste to the beginning of the episode, and we're like, yes, some more of this, please. Maybe he'll actually start behaving like a decent child.
there's not a single cast member who likes him.
Just about.
I mean, that means the rest of the cast agree with the audience. But yeah, why is he here and why is he like this? Like at this point, if you had to line up, okay, one of these people will get their ass beat, Drake or Darius. I don't know which one people would pick. And I don't know if that's intentional.
You do wonder some days.
Yep. Least favorite scenes.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Starkey like picking up the fish with his net, and then very intentionally, even though it's supposed to be an accident, but just swings wide.
Max
and
K9
hits
with
K9. And it's just like watching. I don't even think that like I caught that the first time, that you can see that he's intentionally kind of going wide to make sure he hits K9.
It was what threw me off about that is he's talking to K9. He's having this whole conversation. Flap. Oh, I didn't know you were there.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah, like you would think, given K9's like, well, this is a bit dodgy, that he would have been like, maybe I should keep my eyes on the net and not on the ground so I don't accidentally swing it and hit it.
I think that's one where it worked better on paper than acted. Yeah. But I think it was still missing something. Like either K9 should have been like flying around and like Starkey didn't realize that he had moved, or maybe like something, maybe like an alien avatar catches his eye and he looks away at the wrong moment or something.
Or even just like, I was even thinking just something, whether it being like K9 messing with him or something just startles him, and so he like flings it without meaning to, and it smacks K9.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense.
Any of that would have been better than I didn't see you. All right, Matt?
I still don't understand to this point, why did they suddenly give Starkey vertigo?
Yeah, that never gets answered.
They just kind of show up, hello, Flash.
So you look directly at us like an eclipse, so we're I don't know.
You're the only one looking, so we're just gonna like visually flash bomb you right now. The hell of you humans and your tender eye sockets, even though you're trying to help.
That one I have no explanation for.
Yeah, that just kind of happened just to have an excuse to have Starkey not be there right away.
Oh yeah, so that it would be Darius and Georgie instead of Starkey and Georgie. But even like nothing came of that, right? Except for that extra chance for Darius to chew on some rope. Like nothing came of them going off together anyway. So what was the point of it?
Almost feels like something that was meant to go somewhere, and then they realized, oh yeah, we've only got like 20-something minutes. So
yeah, it feels like it was something that was probably lost in the cutting room.
All right, so, and I just realized that. Well, actually, I mean, it's only 3 of us, and I'm the last person, so I can mention 2 scenes. So the first is the fact that the professor goes outside to talk to June because he doesn't want to invite her inside. But then 5 minutes later, he has a problem going outside.
Well, he doesn't leave the doorstep, and the moment he actually goes past the doorstep, you do see him start to have the freak out.
I get that, but it feels like he went farther maybe it was like an intention thing, like he never intended to go much farther, but like he goes farther talking in that conversation with June than he goes in that scene with the agoraphobia issue.
Maybe I need to double check that, but also I do
at
know
least
that
that's
there's
how
like
it
a
felt to
multiple
me, because you could
doors.
see more sunlight.
And also there's also
Yeah.
multiple doors to get in and out of that place, so I'm kind of not sure where exactly they were.
Got you. So you're thinking maybe it was a different door.
Might have been
Okay.
a different doorway too. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like I just felt like you could see enough sunlight to make me feel like he was farther away from the door.
I feel like, I guess the implication is that even if he was like standing at the bottom of the stairs when he was talking to June, the difference being like he wasn't expecting to go any further. So like, okay, I'm still safe. I can still run back to into the mansion if I have to. Whereas
that last one, it might have been he was almost about ready to go with them, and all of a sudden caught himself and went, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, they're running off to go into the city, so he's like, no. But yeah, it is kind of odd that like he wouldn't even get to like the bottom of the stairs before being like, no, actually.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was top of the stairs versus bottom of the stairs was the difference. So not a huge difference, but enough like you went farther the last time, now you can't go as far. But the other scene that bothered me is, and again, this is definitely a symptom of, we need to go back to the status quo in 20 minutes. Why do the Meads have pollution removing powers? Like, they could just point their hands at the water and point their hands at K9 and soak up the... I think it's because they have the
device, but yeah.
Like, this is effectively, basically, like if you spilled jet fuel on someone, a human can't just wave their hand and be like, oh, I spilled jet fuel on you. I'm just going to take it back. And that's kind of what, it's not like the fuel is something inherent to the Meads. It's just part of their ship. So why do they just have the power to just draw it out of things?
Again, I think it's because they have that particular weird spiky device that they're able to do that, but I can't guarantee that either.
Yeah, I would say
needs explaining.
It could be, but they never connected that device to any such sort of ability. It was used for like teleporting, basically. Yeah, and that's not what they're doing here at all.
Well, they're teleporting the oil slick away.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of funny because it's just like, oh shit, yeah, we need to get rid of this. How do we do that?
Hand wave, the aliens can do it.
The Meads can just kind of do it.
It's special sciencey stuff. You don't need to explain it. It just happens.
Oh, by the way, I did go back and check. Griffin doesn't. I don't think he gets to the bottom of the stairs, but they are definitely talking on the stairs, so he is further away from the door.
Right.
So they're either like halfway up the stairs or something. So they're close enough that the front of the mansion is still there. But yeah. So it is like, yeah, he's like halfway down the stairs versus gets into the doorway and's like nopes out. Which I don't think, like, I would assume the idea is that later he'll eventually get over it because he's kind of forced to or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe. It does kind of seem with these last few episodes that we're dealing with more character stuff. So it would be really nice if we see like that they all have real arcs by the end of the season.
There's some actual development, and maybe one of those characters could actually be less of an asshat by season 2. Not saying we're going to get any promises on that, but I thought there was a second season.
Nope. It's one long season.
Yeah.
It's second.
It's like 20 something. I forget exactly how many episodes.
That is actually a very long season.
25 episode. Yeah, it's one season of 25 episodes.
Yikes.
All right, final thoughts.
Again, like I said it last week, I forget if it was on stream or not, but as much as this does feel like a dip in quality, it doesn't feel like as drastic a dip as you might think that it might potentially end up being. Like, yeah, like the acting's a bit wobbly, and like we were nitpicking the hell out of this, a hell of a, like, we were pointing out more like what the hell was this decision a lot more this week than last week, but I ultimately don't think that knocks my opinion of this like too badly. I mean, like, again, it's not as good as Ouroboros by a long shot, I would say, but it's still one of the better episodes that we've covered so far, I would say. I mean, I feel like it's been so long that I almost feel like I need to rewatch some of the older ones to get a second opinion on them or something. But yeah, I feel like this is definitely, while not as good as Ouroboros, definitely better than some of the other ones we've covered so far. So a bit of slippage in quality, but you know, we didn't go Curse of Anubis, Ouroboros, oh god, it's Curse of Anubis again. Sort of,
Yeah,
sort of a thing.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay, Matt.
So my final thoughts. I think the worst of the acting is like certain line deliveries, and I'm not sure why that periodically keeps happening. It is strange that it keeps happening, and I think it might be something to do with it being forced for children. Maybe, I'm not sure. There is again some nitpicks to be had with some of the visual effects that are live on set. They're just not quite holding up. And actually, their digital effects from last time were holding up much better, and they actually held up again this time too. So, honestly, I think this show's still trying to find its footing, and it's kind of found it, and then kind of lost it again because they keep swapping a lot of people around every episode. That being said, I will say, if nothing else, the strong point of this episode is definitely its story, as it again ties together really well, and even despite any failings on set, you can still feel the better parts of the story leaking through, and especially the little character moments, and especially the proper focus on K9. So that being said, it's definitely not like a complete and total dip, but there is a little bit of a failing going on again, and I'm very curious as to where this is coming from. There's just got to be something on set that's just not quite going right, and I'm not sure what it is. But that's my thoughts.
So I agree. This is not as bad as Curse of Anubis and not as good as Ouroboros. Ultimately, yeah, there's definitely a strong backbone of a story. A lot of story things that definitely could have been done better, or just seemed like weird decisions. One thing that doesn't really fit into like good bad, but it's just sort of interesting is we seem to be getting this plot with Georgie, and it may not be the first time, but they kind of emphasized it here, of like, you know, blowing off her her I don't even know if responsibilities or commitments are right, because these are probably commitments her mom made, but you know, blowing off places she's supposed to be,
her curricular activities.
yeah, blowing off places she's supposed to be in order to be involved with the K9 squad, which almost makes this a Georgie episode, but not enough for it to go anywhere. It kind of feels like it's hinting at something, and hopefully there's payoff to that.
And I feel the exact same about Griffin on this one too. There seems to be a lot of stuff hinting of him, but it's not quite going anywhere yet.
Right. So yeah, it seems like we're, and I mean, we've had some time focusing on developing K9, some time focusing on developing Starkey. So hopefully we're going to get that with Georgie and Griffin as well. And yeah, otherwise, I wish they had kind of, polished this episode a bit more. I can forgive the special effects, but not when the special effects when the bad special effects are in conjunction with poor writing and directorial decisions. So, yeah, I could have used some more work, but again, it's definitely not the lows of K9 either. All right, ratings. Alex.
There are some times where I'm willing to be harsher on this show, but given this doesn't differ so much in quality from Ouroboros as it could have, I'm inclined to be a bit nicer, so I'm going to give this a 4.
Okay, 4.0, which for you is half a step down from Ouroboros. All right, Matt?
I'm kind of in a similar position where I'm having a half step down because it's not quite there, but they haven't completely lost it yet, so I'm hoping that they keep their footing and get a better episode pushed out next time, so I'm at 3.5.
Right, and I'm going to agree with Matt. 3.5 for me is directly halfway between Ouroboros and Curse of Anubis, and I think that fits. So I go 3.5, which brings us to an average of 3.67 or 3.6 repeating if you want to be pedantic. And where does that put us on our rankings?
275 by the looks of it.
Yep, it is number 275. It is not on par with any other spin-off material. It is better than Torchwood Atom, Torchwood Dead Man Walking, Torchwood A Day in the Death, Torchwood Small Worlds. A lot of Torchwood over there. And it is not as good as Sarah Jane Adventures The Gift. And Sarah Jane Adventures Eye of the Gorgon. Yes, so again, that was 275. And that wraps up our review of Alien Avatar. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this week's episode if you've watched it. And since you've listened this far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe on YouTube to get our exports every time we stream, or follow us on Twitch to get notified when we're live. Next time, which may or may not be next week, kind of depends if we have a quorum of 3. We continue with more K9. With K9 Aeolian, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Written by Dave Warner and starring Philippa Coulthard as Georgie Turner, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, Robert Maloney as Professor Alistair Griffin, and John Leeson as the voice of K9. We'll see you then.
Have a good night.